What is the path from being a photographer in the Air Force to becoming a public school teacher? Like, what was
Okay, good question. I actually, when I started out going to school, junior college, and a little bit before going in the military, I was going to be a teacher. For whatever reason, I joined the military, diverted that path. And my husband, we made the decision, he had more time in the military. We decided he was going to go on for a career, and I was going to get out. We were both getting sent on deployments. And there's a lot of couples that do great being separated. We decided we wanted to be together. And we said, well, let's me get out. And I really I still had a desire to be a teacher. And the only thing is, financially, it was kind of hard to go back to school. And the blessing that through the military, I was able to, they paid basically for all my school. And so when my son was born, I went back to school, and his first day of kindergarten was my first year of teaching. Wow. So that was a real blessing that it happened that way. But it had been a goal. I mean, when I was a kid, me and my sister and I, we would play school all the time. And we used to argue because I wanted to be the teacher, but she was the older one, so she'd be the teacher. But I think that's been in my heart since I was little. So it was an easy, and then it went right with our family as well. I was able to be home summers and holidays and that kind of thing. So it really worked out good.
So you mentioned in the beginning that you just recently retired. So how long have you been in the school system? How long have you been a public school teacher?
19 years.
Wow.
19 years.
So 19 years in the military.
No, 10 in the military.
Okay. 10
and then
in the
19
military.
as a teacher.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's amazing. So military career, teaching career, and now biblical counseling. So tell us what brought you to the biblical counseling arena.
Okay, that's another. I have so many interesting stories. That I probably 10 years ago or so, maybe a little bit more. I love teaching. I love teaching, but probably about halfway through my teaching career, I was realizing the part I love the most is the relationship piece. Everything, the academics obviously are needed. Our kids need to grow academically, but if they're not socially and emotionally grounded, there's going to be nothing to hang that academic side on. So I was always God give me a strength of being able to communicate and build relationships well. And I can still remember a long time ago talking to my husband and us talking and praying about, I wanted to be a counselor and I wanted to pursue that. But the idea of going back to school terrified me. I was like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to write papers. I don't really know what I want to do. And, but I finally, and I think you guys know this, but I'm not sure. I actually started out in a seminary program. And I loved learning biblically. I loved the counseling part. I couldn't get enough of it. But it was very dry because it was online. I had no interaction with people. And I felt that I needed interaction with people for the kind of growth that I wanted. And Don was I can still remember him saying, if this is something you want to do, you got my 100% support, do it. Because what it meant for him was, as it is, teachers work a lot of hours. So I would be teaching and doing something else with my time. And he was 100% on board. And I was working on a research project at a local church. And Mark McLemore said, hey, I got this guy coming to talk to us about biblical counseling. I think this would really benefit you. Why don't you come? I was like, okay. And I met Tim and I met his program, and I knew immediately, this is the way for me. This is how I want to learn. And at the beginning, because Don and I had talked and prayed about, do I want to go biblical counseling or do I want to go secular counseling? And I knew, due to my faith and how I had seen God work in my personal life, that I didn't want to do secular counseling. I wanted to do biblical counseling because I know how God works through everything I've been through in my life. So then I met Tim, because Tim was just, I think you guys had just moved from San Antonio. You had not even, had you moved, or you were getting ready to move?
Oh, that's a good question.
You might not have even moved here. You might have been on your way to San Antonio, but you guys did the biblical counseling spiel, and I was in your first group. But it was interesting because of my busy life, I wasn't able to like start it and finish it in a year. I started it, I took a few modules, and then like a year later, I took a few more modules, and God has walked me through this path that once I got to my where I did the hours, the counseling hours,
Supervision.
Yeah, supervision, thank you. God showed me from client one to the clients I have today, this is where I'm supposed to be. Every woman he has brought me, every family he has brought me, every person he has brought me, officially or unofficially, I see him work in such amazing ways. And it's built and grown my faith, because to see how God works in people I don't know, you just step away and say, wow, God, he is who he says he is, and he does what he says he's going to do. So the journey, and then as I got close, I started talking about retirement. I'm a lifetime learner. I love learning. I'm a sponge, and I thought, well, I want more knowledge to go with this, just to have it, I guess. So I decided to get my master's degree in human services counseling. And then we had to revisit, being my husband, Don, and I, we revisited secular counseling or biblical counseling, because I'm going through Liberty University, which is a Christian university. So it would be secular counseling from a Christian point of view. But then I thought, you know what, but that's not what I need. I need the foundation, but I'm still 100% that I want to go biblical. I don't want to go secular. So that brings me on my last two classes. I finished my master's in the beginning of July. So
congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been quite the journey, but it has been a blessing all along. Bumps and bruises, but a complete and total blessing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, it takes a lot of discipline and, just character to be able to stay with things as long as you have, and to allow the Lord to use you the way he has. Elaine and I learned early on, as you begin to counsel, you begin to see there's some things that you seem to be better at than others, and kind of a sweet spot. So as you have described meeting with a variety of people facing a variety of challenges in your life. So what would you say are your strengths in counseling? Like, if there was an expertise or specialization that you have that you feel very comfortable with, what would those be?
Well, I'm still finding areas, but I think my most comfort is women. I mean, women really, with almost any issue, it seems like a lot of women that come to see me have childhood trauma. They have anxieties and stress. Kids and adolescents, that's just the nature, I think, of being a teacher so long and being a part of a youth group, and I connect with kids. Couples, I wouldn't say they're my strength yet, but I would like them to become a strength. I like working with couples, but younger women, especially, I've worked with women of all ages, but especially women like, I don't know, 20s, 30s, we seem to just really, and then there's two sides. I have two things. I have the counseling, then I have a life coach. So I had one young lady that I started counseling with, but now it's kind of like a life coach. We check in every month. Just she needs that spiritual wisdom and guidance to check in. I'm kind of like her cheerleader more than I'm her counselor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question directly or not, but
And let me, I'll just attempt to explain the difference between counseling and coaching for those who are possibly confused about that. So the way I understand counseling is we address the person in the current situation and we try to help the person understand how they got there. So we're starting from the current and we're looking back, trying to connect some dots and putting some pieces together to make sense of their story, and then to help them to begin to move forward and undo some things and replace some whatever bad habits, bad beliefs about themselves, bad ways of thinking, etc. Whereas with coaching, we're basically saying, oh, okay, here's where you are today. Where would you like to be in the future? And then we begin to help that person plan out those. So here, I want to go from A to Z. Okay, what are your strengths to get there? What are your options? What are your obstacles? And so it's a different vantage point on helping people. So thank you for bringing up the coaching piece.